Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Haygood. As I told you last week, 'tis the season to be giving, and I'm so excited to introduce you to many nonprofit local organizations here in the Scottsdale and the Valley area. There's so much and so many opportunities that we can give back right here at home in our community that I'm very excited to feature just a very, very small amount of them. So thank you everyone who reached out to be on the podcast. There'll be plenty more opportunities for you. This week, I'm really excited to introduce you to Francine Sumner. She is the president, CEO extraordinaire behind the organization Kid in the Corner that is here to tackle mental health and help suicide prevention in teens and adolescents, something that she is all too familiar with and hit very close to home. So let me take a short break, and when we come back, I'll have Francine Sumner at the table. We've heard commercials for those other insurance agents, but when it comes to someone who knows Scottsdale and the insurance business, there's only one person you can trust with your stuff, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy and his team of agents have been helping Scottsdale for over 20 years. From big purchases to rentals, there is nothing Jeremy can't cover at the best rate with the best service. Don't believe me? Then give him a call yourself at 480-515-5523. or find him on the web at jeremymueller.com. Many of us heard the headlines lately that teen and adolescent depression, anxiety, and suicide rates are rising. COVID seemed to escalate these feelings among our youth, and now we're facing a new crisis in teen suicide prevention. Francine Sumner knows the pain and aftermath of teen suicide all too well, as her son took his own life after a long battle of depression and mental illness. Like any parent, Francine did everything she could to prevent this tragedy from happening. But Zach was the kid in the corner. Francine took her pain and anguish and started the nonprofit Kid in the Corner to make sure that no kid felt left out at school and among his peers. Like I said, your story struck a chord with me, and you don't have to be a parent to fall in love with kids and understand how important they are to us and to make sure they're always protected. So talk to me about, what is Kid in the Corner?
So Kid in the Corner is a foundational program that is really out to shatter the stigma that surrounds mental illness. So really what we do through the whole program is try to ingrain in youth that physical health and mental health are no different from each other.
I love that, because we do see them as two separate things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we really do have a good discussion around why is there shame and embarrassment around mental health and mental illness and not physical health and physical illness.
Yeah.
And at the end of that conversation, you can see the light bulbs going off. And kids are like, gosh, really? Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking about our physical health for decades. We've known, take care of you physically. How we take care of ourselves physically actually does affect our mental health. COVID has really created a new crisis here with our adolescents and teenagers, the isolation, the, being online constantly and having too much access to misinformation, false information, and really so many people during that age group, the bullying that you can do online to create this mental health crisis as well. So where did Kid in the Corner, the organization name, come from?
So it came from, the fact that Zachary was the kid in the corner. The kid in the corner are the kids who fly under the radar, right? We're not noticing the signs and the symptoms. We don't see or include intentionally those kids that are new, or reach out to the kids that maybe have left the soccer team. So the kid in the corner are people that we may have to exhibit a little bit more effort in seeking them out and recognize them. We need to be intentional and mindful of who those people are. But it's about realizing that we need to reach out to the kid in the corner, and we may be the kid in the corner. And it's fluid, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
You did everything in your power to, like any parent, to make this tragedy not happen. After this tragic accident happened and Zach took his life, you needed something to do with your pain and anguish. You couldn't just sit there in it. You and your friends, your other children got together and started this organization, Kid in the Corner, to make sure that people like Zach were never left in the corner. And that started with a simple penny pledge. This is really interesting. So talk to me about a penny pledge, because I guarantee you I have dollars and dollars amounts of pennies in my house somewhere.
Right. Exactly. So the penny pledge is really the cornerstone of our organization, and it's a program. And it started, the reason we called it the penny pledge was because Zachary was a coin collector.
Okay.
And when he died, we found thousands of pennies. And one day, between the day that he died and his funeral, it was a few days, his friends, my kids, we were all sort of sitting around the kitchen table, and we were just going through this huge bowl of pennies. And we started pulling out the ones for the year 2000, which was the year he was born. And one of his friends, or I think one of Jacob's friends, took them home and drilled holes in them. And we started to wear them to remind ourselves to be kind. But it's now really become a commitment to shatter stigma and change the conversation. And so the penny pledge is a 3-part pledge. So a 3-part program that teaches kids, when they're done with the program, they learn the tools, the skills, and everything they need to be able to reach out to the kid in the corner, to be able to take care of their own mental health, knowing it's okay to not be okay, and a strength to ask for help. And they pledge to be that safe and caring person in case somebody comes to them and says, I'm feeling hopeless, I want to hurt myself. So they know what to do in all those 3 situations. And at the very end of the program, they take that pledge. They all get pennies with holes drilled in them. Paradise Valley High School does that for us.
I love that.
And they take the pledge, and they all get their pennies, and they get to wear them.
What has Kid in the Corner done for you, Francine, personally during your healing journey? Can you heal? I don't even know if that's possible.
So the word heal is a really funny one to me.
I know. I felt really weird asking that, actually.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm not sure that there is a word really for it, because, grief is, without love, there can't be grief. And so if I stop grieving, I stop loving. I'll never stop grieving because I'll never stop loving. And so I don't think I'll ever fully heal, but I can move forward in my journey. And I think that's really what it is for me. So I get to have Zachary with me every day. Yeah. I get to talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
I get to spend time with him, not in the way that I do with my other kids, but he is absolutely with me all the time. I get to work with him every day.
Yeah.
With that said, I'll come home from days of presentations in schools all over the valley, and it's exhausting. It's hard to tell that story over and over again, and it's hard to watch youth's reaction to a story like that, because when we tell the story and we start talking about stigma and where it, reared its head, invariably, kids start to bubble up, which is what we want, right? They start to have the conversations. They share in a group setting. All the kids realize, it's not just them. They're all feeling this way. And it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? It's doing what it's designed to do.
Having that conversation. What are you seeing from these kids when you say their reaction is surprising me?
So they'll talk about how they feel. They'll talk about their depression. They'll talk about their therapy sessions. They'll talk about who their safe and caring people are. They'll talk about people in their lives that they've been worried about and their mental health. They share different coping mechanisms. We create self-care plans together. We realize that while one person might like drawing, another person might like listening to music, and that it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
And, it's just something that's not talked about. It's really as basic as just starting the conversations and getting that stigma, shame and embarrassment about our feelings out of the way.
Do you think now you're seeing with this current generation, as you're in the school systems and working so much with our teens and adolescents, are you seeing them more willing to open than, say, when we grew up?
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is when I'll go into like 6th grade classrooms and we move all the desks and we sit on the floor in a circle. And I can see all the faces. I can see the light bulbs go off. I can see kids thinking like, wow, I'm really not the only one. Like, this is not just me.
Finally, she gets me.
right?
Yeah.
And then kids will wait at the end to come up and say, thank you for that. And then teachers can see. They're like, gosh, I never knew that child struggled with that.
Yeah.
And so it really helps to sort of put a crack in the ice,
Yeah.
right? So that things can sort of bubble up and get taken care of.
You have this great hashtag, Shatter the Stigma.
Yeah.
I love it. We actually have some stickers and stuff, and they're on my daughter's water bottle. She's like in pre-K, and she doesn't know everything it means, but her teacher came up to me because of those stickers and had a conversation with me about it. And she was like, I can tell who you are as a parent by the stickers on your kid's water bottle. And I think it's so interesting and fascinating that you do talk about this and that you are aware of like even your child. I mean, she's 4.5 of her mental health and her happiness, and it's being aware, it's being proactive and using our voice that we have and that we can use for the greater good of ourselves and mankind. And that's hard to do with that age group.
Very.
So how do you start a conversation, Francine? Tell me, because I'm having trouble with my young one right now.
I think just asking sort of, what happened today? How are you feeling today? Noticing changes in behaviors. If they come home and they're in their room for a couple hours, knocking on the door and saying, hey, you doing okay in there?
Yeah.
So it's not always necessarily about having the conversation about their mental health, but it's about seeing them so that they feel comfortable answering your questions and starting the conversations with you.
I think something that we need to be aware of as parents is we may not be that person that our kids come to.
That's right.
And I think that's really hard as a parent can be really hard to accept. Mm-hmm. I think we need to realize that as long as our child has a safe person to talk to, that we need to relish in that.
Yeah. It's one of the really important things that we talk about in their self-care plan is who is your safe adult in school and who's your safe adult or adults out of school.
Okay.
And I tell them that, I as a parent always want to make sure that my kids have other safe and caring adults because what happens when they're frustrated with me?
That's what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, my oldest is 8.5 and I've already got, you don't get me or understand me. It's like, okay, here we go.
That's right.
I know it's coming.
That's right. And, sometimes our kids are worried about how we're going to react.
Yes.
They're worried whether we're going to believe them. They don't want to upset us.
100%.
They don't want to scare us. And so it's wonderful to foster relationships with other safe and caring adults for them and for them to know that it's okay to talk about my feelings with somebody else that I feel safe with. I'll come to mom when I'm ready.
Yeah.
And maybe I won't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And they also understand the difference between, tattling and advocating. And so that, safe adults can keep your confidence unless they feel like you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, and then they need to escalate that.
You're talking about having that safe person to talk to. Did Zach have that person outside of you? And he was that kid in the corner, and it wasn't until after he passed that you met all of his friends that cared. But yet his friends never reached out when they needed him.
Right.
And he didn't know how much he was cared for. So teaching the kids to just ask or talk to the new kid in school and something like that. What did you learn from his friends and from these kids after Zach's passing that you really didn't know, to take that into Kid in the Corner?
I really found out that it was all about stigma. Right? People weren't intentionally looking. So it's almost like an out of sight, out of mind thing.
Okay.
Right?
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. Because we're all busy. Mm-hmm. We've all got stuff going on. We've all got our own lives. And so it's not so easy to keep people in your radar that you don't see every day.
Yeah.
And so being intentional, that's why reaching out intentionally is one of the things that we really drive home at Kid in the Corner is you never know how just smiling, saying, hi, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Everything okay? Anything I can do for you? Can absolutely change the course of somebody's life because we as humans just want to know that we're noticed, that we're cared about, that
we're seen.
That's right, that we're seen. I always tell the scenario in school. Think about a time that maybe you went home, you had a horrible day, either you failed a test or had a fight with your friend, and you go home and everybody's home, and you go into your room for 3 hours and nobody comes and checks on you. Nobody says a word until it's time to empty the dishwasher 3 hours later. And they're like, come down and empty the dishwasher. And you're like, did anybody notice I've been sitting in my room for 3 hours? It's like that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's hard. Mm-hmm.
And so think about how you don't want that for anybody else. What would you have wanted during that period? Mm-hmm. What could somebody have said to you during that period that could have made you feel seen? Now, how do you do that for others?
It sounds easy and it's doable. I try to teach that to my son, too. When we go into new situations, he's like, I don't have any friends. I don't know anybody. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, right, but when you're in that situation and someone comes into you, remember that, and just go ask them hi or ask them if they want to play with you. And if they say no, fine. You don't have to push anything, but at least you made the effort. We're in a digital era right now. There is absolutely, to me, no excuse why you can't send a quick text or,
right.
A quick email or reach out to them on social media, like a comment or a post or something like that to show I know that, sometimes my friends and I communicate through memes and
right.
I can see their meme change, right? It's like, oh, you're feeling stressed out right now because you were sending me all of these ridiculous emails about the holiday seasons and being a parent
right.
and stress. And it's like, gotcha. And I have so texted my friend on the side after getting memes from her and being like, hey, you okay? She's
exactly.
Just kind of, so being self-aware is a huge step. I want to take a quick break. When we come back, Kid in the Corner is doing so much. I want to get in specifics what you're doing for our schools. You have a gala coming up next year that we need to support and how we can make Kid in the Corner grow to save so many kids that are necessarily dying. So stay tuned. With over 20 years of experience in real estate, Sean Shackleton, the Shackleton Group, is ready for you. Sean is a well-respected, full-time agent that is always at the forefront of both market trends and market technology. Most importantly, she is a realtor who will listen and always put your needs first. It's no wonder Sean is named as one of America's top 100 real estate agents. So whether you're buying or selling or need a good neighbor, call Sean of the Shackleton Group at 480-734-7277 or find them on the web at theshackletongroup.com. I'm sitting here with Francine Sumner, the organizer, CEO extraordinaire of Kid in the Corner, the nonprofit organization helping to save one child's life at a time, I fully believe. We talked about the Penny Pledge, how they have to go through this 3-step system to take the Penny Pledge, where they pledge to communicate, see the kid in the corner, check in on being self-aware. We can use all of that for ourselves as well. It's not just to help that kid in the corner. Like you said, sometimes we are the kid in the corner ourselves. So talk to me about how you're getting into our school systems here in Scottsdale and the Valley and what we can do to help Kid in the Corner really save these kids' lives.
So we are in schools all across the Valley from 4th grade and up.
Love it.
4th grade through 6th grade, we do a 3-day or a 3-part program.
Okay.
Typically in middle school and high school, we'll do about an hour presentation because a lot of those kids have already heard some of this stuff, and it's just a reinforcement for them. This year, I think we've hit already 2,500 youth.
Wow. Mm-hmm. We're only halfway through the school year.
Only halfway through the school year.
Good for you guys.
Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is it's really word of mouth. I know that some schools, some parents, some educators are worried because the word suicide is attached. Mm-hmm. But the program is very foundational. It's really just about mental health awareness, being aware of our feelings, knowing what to do when something were to happen, hotlines, resources, things like that.
Okay.
So it's very foundational. The more people that hear about the program or hear about schools that have gone through the program are starting to contact us to schedule. So, yeah. So I feel like we're really actually making some progress in the Valley.
I know with my own experience with motherhood and my son, they absorb more than he lets me on, right? So he's like, oh, I did nothing at school. I played the same games on the playground. And then I talk to other parents who have daughters who talk a lot more and tell them in more detail. And then I'll bring this up to my son. Like, hey, I heard this was going on. He's like, oh, yeah, we did talk about this and this and this, and that reminded me of this. So for me, I'm still having to do my extra homework to find the topic of conversation to talk about these kind of programs with him, because it's never too early,
right.
I don't think. And I am so scared for our youth and what they're feeling right now. I feel terrible for them. And I love how you're in the school systems and teaching them, because at this day and age, the kids are the best friends with their other kids. The parent is not their best friend right now. And that's where we need to learn from them and in the school system where they can absorb more than what I am going to tell my son.
That's right. Because we know, first of all, that peers go to peers before they're going to adults.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why we knew after Zach's passing that we had to get in front of the youth themselves. You know, it's one thing to educate the parents and it's one thing to educate the educators, but who's educating the youth?
Yeah.
Who's giving them permission to feel what they feel? Exactly, right? I mean, we talk a lot about, in our third session, we talk about empathy, and we talk about how this, little girl is going to get a flu shot. She's 5, and she's crying, I'm so scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Please don't make me do it. And mom says, don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared about. I'll be right there with you. And we talk about how that's not empathetic because mom is telling her not to be scared, but she can't help it. She can't help but be scared. And it's okay to be scared. That's where stigma starts, right? Because now there's a little 5-year-old girl thinking her mom knows everything in the world.
Yeah.
And so mom's telling me not to be scared, so I shouldn't be. But I am.
Yeah.
Now I'm embarrassed about that.
Ugh.
Now I don't want to say that I'm scared.
Are you mom shaming me right now, Francine?
So
it's true though.
Yeah, it's important that we give these kids the permission to feel what they're feeling and help work through it, as opposed to telling them not to feel that way or that everything will be okay. And it's not always going to be okay. They raise their hands, has anybody ever had a cold before? And they raise their hands. Has anybody ever had a sad or a bad day before? Raise your hand. You're going to have a cold again in your life? Are you going to have a sad or bad day again in your life? I mean, this is life.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's powerful. And I've totally done that before.
We all have.
Yeah.
These are skills that we need to practice.
We have to consciously act that. Yeah.
Right. Which is why I think mental health awareness education at the foundational level is so important, right?
Yeah.
Because they're skills and tools and resources that we need to practice and learn in order to perfect. It doesn't come naturally.
I have a mom friend and we joke that we're not going to pay for our kids' college. We're just saving up for their therapy they're going to need.
No kidding.
Therapy they're going to need from us as parents or something.
That's right. That's right.
But it's true. Go to kidinthecorner.org. Everything about Francine and her purpose is here. You have a huge Shatter the Stigma Gala coming up in February of 2023. How can we help you make this bigger? Because this goes towards continuing to educate our youth and me and other parents, as I've learned here sitting with you today.
Right. So we don't charge schools so that we can get to every school.
Very nice.
Right? So we never want to charge a school or a youth organization for programming. So we do a lot of grant, we apply for grants, we do individual contributions, and we have a fundraising gala. So our gala is February 25th, 2023.
Okay.
Tickets will go on sale after the first of the year.
Fantastic.
You can save money by buying a table of 8 or getting 8 people together.
Okay.
So that'll be a less expensive option. And there are tons of sponsorships available also. So we're looking for people to sponsor the show, sponsor desserts, sponsor the cocktail hour. So you can do that by going to kidinthecorner.org as well.
Listen, I went last year and had a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of good times, a great crowd, and everyone's there for the right reasons and really to support our youth and Zach. Really, we're here to support Zach. A couple more questions I have for you before we leave. How are you and your family doing?
We're hanging in. We're hanging in. This is a tough time of the year for us. It's a tough time of the year for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And we've learned to plan for those sad or bad days, and so we have plans to get us through. We don't expect too much of ourselves or each other, and it is what it is. This is one of the times of the year that's just not
sucks. Let's just say it. It sucks.
Really does. It really does.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
what is a favorite holiday memory of yours?
Oh, So my favorite holiday memory, and it's really funny because I was just in the dollar store the other day, but we used to do, so we're Jewish and we also did Christmas also. And always the night before on New Year's Eve, we would stuff the kids' stockings and they would fall asleep and we'd put a dollar store stuffed animal in their beds. And then when they woke up in the morning, that's how they know Santa came.
Very cool.
And so I see those animals, in the store, and it still sort of chokes me up. But
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Kidinthecorner.org. Please go look at them, support them. They are here to help our youth, and they are our future. That's the line. The youth is our future, and it can't be more true. And I know as a parent of 2 young kids, their mental health is so important to me. I thought I was not going to cry. I mean, we've talked about this before. I thought I was going to get through. But thank you for all you do, and thank you for shattering the stigma, and thank you for making people talk about mental health, because we do need to talk about it. And our mental health is so important to our physical health, and our physical health is so important to our mental health. It is one big component. So please go find your safe person to talk to. And if you're not having a good day, which I am today, it may not sound like it, but I am having a good day, find your person.
Yes, and there are hotlines and resources. We have a ton of them on our website. You're not alone.
No, you're not. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that during those sad times, we can feel alone, but we're actually not. I think we're surrounded by more that time than any other time.
And I will always be a safe and caring person for anybody to talk to. You can get in touch with me.
I will validate that. You have been there for me many times. We're incredibly lucky to have you, and that you found your voice to help others. I'm sorry that it took a tragedy like that. But, you really took a negative and you are making a huge spin and a positive on this life.
We are saving and changing lives.
You are, one student at a time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to come back with some calendar of events. But in the meantime, please go check out kidinthecorner.org. You can learn so much, help their cause, and help save a life or 2. Thank you so much, Francine, and for everything you and your organization do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
We all want that perfect smile. So who better to call for all your dental needs than Dr. Rob DeVito at Arizona Center for Laser Dentistry. Dr. DeVito and his staff offer the best dental experience. Whether it's time for your routine cleaning, one-of-a-kind laser dental treatment, or teeth whitening, their same-day service saves you time and money. And as a mom of 2 little ones, trust me, this is exactly what I need. Give Dr. DeVito a call at 480-990-1905. You can also find him on the web at drdevito.com. Are you like me and love a good fried chicken sandwich? Maybe a grilled chicken salad of some sort. How about those hot and fresh fries, all washed down with some fresh squeezed tea or a milkshake? Are you hungry yet? Then you need to go check out Bird Call, located at the corner of Scottsdale and Shea, for everything delicious, fresh, all natural, and locally sourced. Bird Call started with the mission to make natural food more accessible. Not only are they feeding us all natural food, but 1% of their sales goes to support local schools, charities, and organizations here in Scottsdale. You can see all the delicious details by visiting eatbirdcall.com or just driving to their location on Scottsdale and Shea. Oh, and did I mention they're open on Sundays? Unlike some other chicken places, you can get your chicken fix 7 days a week. Bird Call, your only choice when it comes to all natural and delicious chicken. The calendar of events is brought to you by Notre Dame Prep. Go find the saint in you by visiting ndpsaints.org. I want to personally wish a happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to everyone out there in Scottsdale who celebrates. It really is the week of presents and gifts and family and just being around those who matter the most. So I hope you can take the time to really go learn more about Kid in the Corner and Francine Sumner and all that she's doing to help. If you need a last-minute gift, I know that I love getting donations for organizations like this in my honor, and I know it means something so much to if you have a last-minute gift to go think about some of these small businesses and nonprofits around here to support. It's the last week, so hurry up and go get your picture taken with Santa. He will be at Scottsdale Quarter. I know he's at Scottsdazzle some. He's also at the market down every Saturday in Old Town, the farmers market. There's plenty of opportunities to go see him, so go check him out quick. You've got this last minute gifts because he's always watching. And don't forget to get in this last minute happy hours, dinners, or just holiday parties to be around those that matter the most. I hope you have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I look forward to seeing you around town.